shooting down in the woods. He wouldn't leave it even if he could. 'Cause life is good, yeah!
Hickok45, your internet shooting companion, coming at you from Middle Tennessee, the home of lots of great people. Yes, let's forget all the famous people this week. There are just thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people in Tennessee that are just good people. Oh, we have our scoundrels too, as everybody does. But we have a lot of just good old folks that keep the country going. You know, we focus on the heroes, and rightly so, and the famous people of the world because they're interesting and maybe entertaining. But you get right down to it, what makes the world go around and keep things going are just normal folks like you and me that just live out our lives, going to work each day and doing what we do, right? So let's just give them a shout out, all right? Hard to beat Alvin York and folks like that, but let's just think about all the good folks in this world that would like to see the country do well and would love to see the Constitution survive, right? So anyway, what are we going to talk about today? It is a rather warm Saturday afternoon, late on whatever date it is, but it's a nice day, a little rainy, and if it weren't raining, I'd probably be out on the Harley instead of yakking at you. So, well, I say nice and I say it's raining. Well, it's not raining right now. But it's wet. It's really wet, and we'll just wait for a better day to ride. Got a little ride in this week, one afternoon, and that was nice. Looking forward to spring weather and lots of it, and time to be outside. But we've had some time to get out and do some videos and get together with John and turn on the camera, talk about firearms, shoot them a little bit, show you some different firearms, maybe some of the same firearms again. And so we've had a pretty good week or two in terms of getting some videos made. We have been wanting to get made, and I've thoroughly enjoyed some of those. Really have, especially that Swedish Mauser. That was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. We might talk a little bit about that. In fact, I happen to have the model 9638 right here, still out in the barn, or I brought it out to make sure it was clean, good and clean. And I also have another little firearm out here. What's that sound like? Yeah, might have a Glockish sound to it, huh? Has a Glockish look to it, I'll say that. Because it is my Glock 27 Gen 4, one of my babies. We all have our favorite firearms. We have our firearms we enjoy shooting, but then we have those that would be the last to go. And that would be one of my last to go, Glock 27. I just replaced the grips. I came out, I was going to start yakking at you, and you know what, I meant to change the grips out, update my Talon grips, and so I did that. I took the old ones off, getting a little bit worn and frayed here and there from so much use and carry and everything, and updated those, put some new ones on. And I cut a little strip. I still cut a little strip. I'm the old pro from the old days. You may have seen in some of my early videos before I knew about Talon grips. I would take strips of this, tape, deck tape, wherever I could find it, and just cut it. And I was an artist. I would put strips around my Glock grips where I wanted them, and where they did the most good, I'd get it just right. I would actually spend a lot of time doing that, but it was worth it because I would get a pretty good grip when I finished. And when I discovered Talon grips, wow, and I was surprised that they felt so good to me. I think I've told that story before. The previous owner sent me some, and I didn't even put them on. I just, okay, that's interesting, and but I finally put them on a backup Glock 27, I think it was, and just because I didn't want to ruin my carry gun, I just stuck them on there to see what they were like, and was pleasantly surprised. And I sent him $100, ordered 10 more sets. That's how much I liked them, and I still do. But I still cut a little strip for the back, the heel of the grip. It's really difficult to get something that wraps around in one piece that covers all the areas. And for me, with my hand, it contacts, not really the palm of my hand with the baby Glocks, but it right there at the bottom rear edge of the grip, there's contact there. And if I have some friction there, it just really assists. And I know it'd be almost impossible to cut out a one-piece grip and have a tail down there like that. So I create the tail, put it on first. For you folks that use these grips, maybe might find this useful. I take a piece of a Talon grip or a deck tape or something the same consistency, and I cut a strip about, about a half-inch wide, maybe a little wider, half-inch to 3/4, and 2, 3, 4 inches long. And I tuck it up in the little opening down here. I don't have a plug for my Gen 4. I'm not sure they make. I guess they do. I don't. For some reason, I've gotten plugs for my Gen 4 Glocks, and I stick it up in there, and use a pencil or something to stick it well, and then wrap it outward. Let's bring it out and up the back rib of the back strap. Okay, I do that first. And then I put and make sure it's stuck well, and then I put the Talon grip on, and so that holds it on. Of course, it goes over the top part of it. Then up in the opening, the plug hole there, it stays up in there fine. Never have any trouble with that. So I get that little piece there that I want. Now I used to just stick a little piece across the back there, and it would work fine too, but it would come off over time. Not too much time sometimes. And with this one, it's held in place by the actual wraparound grip, so it works pretty well. Okay, well, anyway, enough about that. You never know what I might get off on, do you? But my Glock 27's out here with me. It's still one of my very favorites. I've been carrying a Glock 23 a lot lately, and even the 357 SIG some, but I always come back to that 27 because it's so much easier to carry, shoots well. Shorter grip just makes a difference. It really does. And for me, in my large hands, as you've seen in a lot of videos, it shoots just fine. Having the Talon grips on it are even more important, though, for me. I can shoot it without them. I could carry it without anything on the grips, I guess, but don't have a lot of grip there. And so having that friction just makes it really doable. There's just no problems at all. So it is my nice little bulldog sitting there. I really like that gun, still do. After all these years, I flirt with other models, but I end up coming back to it. It just kind of depends on what I'm doing, particularly if I'm going to be in the car a lot. You all that carry know what I'm talking about. Just another inch or two off the grip makes a world of difference. So, what else is going on? Well, we got our parody contest underway. We announced that last week in a video. When we reached 500,000 subscriptions last weekend, we did the video on the parody contest and announced that. And so we've had several submissions. I guess there's 6 or 7 maybe in there as I speak right now. And I would expect more to be coming in. And we'll just see how that goes. There's folks in there enjoying making fun of me, throwing Glocks around, screaming at the trees, and all that kind of thing. Stuff I tend to do at times. Might be a little exaggerated in the parody, but that's what parodies are all about, isn't it? Yeah, they're going to be a little bit exaggerated. So that's pretty fun. And of course, it was a big milestone, getting to 500,000 subscriptions. It was funny, someone posted a comment or wrote me and asked last week one day, I thought, well, what did they said something about how to the extent that it must be nice or it must be interesting to know that you could just go to the camera and speak to 500,000 people anytime you want to. Well, for one thing, all 500,000 don't listen to everything I say or watch every video, right? No matter how many subscriptions you have a percentage of people who watch the video, percentage. So there's y'all know that have a channel and do videos that, whatever that percentage is, you'll get 15 to 20% of the people come back regularly to watch a video, and then maybe 40% or half of them on some videos, and then eventually maybe everybody will see the video, but it's not an immediate thing. And but it's still a lot of people, and of course, and I guess I think I said that it's fortunate that I don't worry too much about it. I guess it doesn't really make me nervous, because why? I'm not sure. I'm really not. Because right now there's a lot of people listening to my ramblings, and while I try not to sound too dumb or reveal my dumbness, and try not to give incorrect information, try not to be too boring, I still don't worry about it too much for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I am so dumb. I'm not smart enough to be nervous. That's probably the answer. You reckon? I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm sitting here in my comfortable reloading room amongst all of my junk paraphernalia, or I'm on my own shooting range, and I don't know. I mean, I don't notice any difference wherever I am, but anyway, just probably not smart enough to be nervous, what it comes down to. What else we got going? Hope you noticed the Swedish Mauser. You could probably tell from the video I was slobbering all over those things, that I do enjoy those. I guess I just like any really good gun, any quality pistol or rifle or revolver. I just can't help it. I'm sorry. And I had heard a lot from you all about the Swedish Mausers and how nicely made they are, and fun to shoot and sweet to shoot. And you were right. They really are. And of course, just starting with a Mauser, you're talking about quality, right? And you have an interesting firearm, a historical firearm. So you add another element to that, and maybe more quality. I know some would differ probably, but in a different kind of history. It's not all. It can't be all bad, can it? They're really fun to shoot. I think I have one. Here's one of the rounds right here handy. Just an interesting little cartridge, and it's not little, but as compared with the 8mm, it seems a little small in terms of the bullet. But really nice round, and if you're listening to this, you've probably seen the video. I won't repeat everything I talk about in videos, but I do like that round, and that was very, very pleasant. I see myself traversing the compound here with the Swedish Mauser slung over my shoulder or resting on my shoulder. It's just a pretty nice rifle. And I tell you, I have a hard time. You'd think at my age I would settle on some firearms and not be wanting different firearms so much, but I keep learning about different firearms, interesting firearms. And, I don't know, I wouldn't mind having a really nice one, like the one I borrowed, in addition to the kind of it's not a clunker, junker, beater. In fact, it's a nice gun. But I don't know. We'll see. Good gun. Fun to shoot. You would enjoy a Swedish Mauser. Let me put it that way. Speaking of the news, which nobody was speaking of, right? Let's just bounce around. Jim Carrey. How about that? Yeah. I had a note to maybe talk about him a little bit. And what can you say? What can you say about a guy like Jim Carrey? Funny man, used to be funny at least. Probably not as funny to a lot of us hardcore shooters now. Isn't it unfortunate that so many actors, actresses open their mouths in the political arena and alienate so many people? Now they have the right, don't they? They really do. That's what the First Amendment's all about. So I could argue both sides of this, and I see both sides, and I try to be objective about that. Good old Jim Carrey, he certainly, not only does he have the right, of course, as we all know, he's perfectly fine or entitled to say whatever he likes to, and I can see how he might be motivated. You think about us. I assume you're one of us, right? We feel compelled to speak our piece, our minds about the Second Amendment and how we feel about it, and probably other things too, right? Just because you are an actor, you're famous, you really should not be precluded from that. You shouldn't, have, duct tape over your mouth when it comes to any issue. So I can see that side. And then also using his voice. If he feels strongly about something, he should be able to use his celebrity even to further that cause, that voice. That's his privilege to do it. But then again, freedom of speech carries with it the accountability. And so these folks that are in the entertainment business, of course, need to remember that we also have the right to boycott them or to not like them once we hear what they have to say, to not go to their movies, and to argue with them, maybe say mean things about them, or at least differ from them and disagree with them publicly or however we want to. So that's the thing about freedom of speech. And so there's two sides to it, but I won't say maybe I did lose a little respect for him, but especially making fun of Charlton Heston, as he lies in his grave. I don't know about that. I was telling John or somebody that it'd be a little bit like us making fun of Ted Kennedy now. Even though Ted Kennedy was famous anti-gunner, make fun of somebody that's gone. I don't know. This doesn't show a lot of class in a lot of ways. So anyway, Jim Carrey, in Fate of Destiny, did a little response to him. I featured for a few days. I thought she made some great points in that. And we don't, John and I, we don't drag out the camera whenever there's a political issue or something like that comes up that you think, oh man, I got a couple things to say about that. We could do 2-3 videos a week on that kind of thing, and we just don't. We want to stick mainly to shooting videos. We do a little bit of I won't say political stuff now, but we're going to promote the Second Amendment, and for certain. But there are other people who do a lot more of that kind of thing and do it pretty well, and so I'm usually looking for some of those to feature or to like or share or something. Just make sure y'all see that stuff. Put it in the feed when it comes around. But anyway, that was an interesting approach Jim Carrey took. I don't know where that came from all of a sudden. The general consensus is he's trying to get attention, revive his career, and all that. I don't know if that's the case or not. But anyway, he has freedom of speech too, and you can say what you like. And of course, a lot of people don't really understand the First Amendment. It seems they don't think about it. And if I hear one more person draw a parallel between the Second Amendment and the First Amendment in terms of, well, you can't scream fire in a crowded theater, implying or directly stating that it's the same as you can't have an assault rifle, you can't have everything you want, you can't scream fire in a crowded theater, you can't have a gun that's going to shoot 15 times or 30 times. They really draw a parallel. They think they're being very intellectual. Well, truth is, you can scream fire in a crowded theater. It's just that you have to suffer the consequences. You might find yourself in jail if there's no fire, right? So you suffer the consequences. So you do have the right to say whatever you want. There's no ban on tongues. They don't duct tape your mouth when you go certain places. You have the freedom. If you abuse it, then you're dealt with, okay? So, yeah. I don't know, it's like the old, you don't need this, or if it'll save one life, it's worth it. When are people going to see the light on some of that? I mean, those arguments are so dumb. Even I can see that. And I ain't that smart, you know? Of course, they see it too, I think. Well, maybe they don't. Some don't. But I think they see it in a lot of cases. But they know that it makes some sense to a lot of people who haven't thought through this stuff, you know? So, wow. It's just so easy to take advantage of people that don't think much and live their lives based on emotion, right? So, yeah, it's something we all deal with. Man, what else we want to talk about here? Well, I know something I was going to talk about a little bit. I imagine, since if you're listening to this, you probably listen to real podcasts and real radio shows, you know, like Tom Gresham and maybe Bill Frady, Lock and Load, Gun Guy Radio, Talking Lead. There are many of them, aren't there? There's a lot of shooting-related, gun-related podcasts out there, which is great. I've gotten to where I'll plug them in on my smartphone and listen to them with my dumb head, you know, as I'm driving, you know, in to Nashville and back, that kind of thing. It's a great time to listen to them on my smartphone. But I was listening to Bill Frady on Lock and Load, whom I have grown to enjoy more and more. I will say, I was contacted by him, you know, and was interviewed by him, was that 3-4 weeks ago, a month ago, whenever that was. And I really wasn't that familiar with him at all at the time. I listened to 3 of his shows before I agreed, you know, I got back with him and said yes. And then since then, I've listened to more. He's on every night, I think every weeknight for a couple hours. But I catch it on podcast, or, you know, the next day or two, or whenever, and listen to most of the shows. In fact, the last 3 weeks, I don't know if I've actually missed one. For some reason it locks up sometimes on me, the podcast does. But as long as it doesn't do that, I catch it all. But you might enjoy him. He's a pretty good guy. Bill Frady, if you're not familiar with him. But he was talking with a guy this week. What was that guy's name? Lightner Wise or something. Lightner Wise or Lighter Wise Manufacturing. I wasn't familiar with him. But he was making, he wasn't promoting his company. Their company is involved in development of new designs, new technology, new designs in the firearms field or something. Don't know where they are, but I guess Bill had gotten wind of him somehow, or maybe he wrote an article or something, but I didn't catch that. But he was making some interesting points about and you may have heard this, about how the assault rifle bans, quote, unquote, those sorts of things affect the market, affect the development of firearms, and he even went so far as to make the point that it could, you know, jeopardize national security in some ways. But he was making a point how during the 1994 ban, you know, that lasted for 10 years through 2004, that there was really, it was very, very flat period in terms of innovation when it comes to those types of firearms and accessories for those types of firearms that were limited or restricted or banned, you know. And in 2004, when that ban, you know, sunset, the crime bill, quote unquote, how much has taken place since then? You know, whether it's the SCARs and ACR, all these things, and the sight development for those guns, all the various innovations have just blown up since then, you know, for those types of firearms. And, you know, another ban like that would squelch that same creative design, the incentive for it. How, you know, he talked about how, you know, if you own well, let's say military puts out a contract, they're going to adopt a new rifle or some new scope or something for a rifle, or maybe it's even a handgun or whatever it might be for the military. And, well, you're a pistol manufacturer, a rifle manufacturer, whatever. So you have to make the decision whether or not you're going to enter that contest. You're going to work on a submission. You look at the specs, and you have to make the decision business-wise whether it's worth the venture. And in one of the aspects of that would be, obviously, everybody's not going to win the contract. So there you are. You've put in all this research and development, created this firearm. What do? Know where to sell it? No, of course you might sell a semi-automatic version of it, or maybe the actual version, if it's a handgun or whatever it might be, to the civilian market. So the fact that there's a vast civilian market out there actually, encourages people to, work on those sorts of innovations. Even if they don't get the military contract, that would have been nice. That would have been big, maybe. But there's less risk involved. If you're developing something that us good old boys in Tennessee are going to like, we good old boys in Tennessee are going to like, then in most states around the country, well, it's not quite as big a risk. But anyway, he made some interesting points about that. I thought that was some things I had not thought of, and how if you're really limited to the usual one or two companies that normally wins those competitions, and they might even be overseas or whatever it is, and you run short of parts, supplies, or something becomes unstable in the world and they can't supply you, or whatever the situation might be, it actually could affect the effectiveness of the military. I don't know, but anyway, made some good points. Thought that was interesting. So you get a chance to check out some of these podcasts. If you have not been listening to any of the podcasts or radio shows like Tom Gresham, you might learn a lot. You might really learn a lot. I know I do. It helps me keep up with what's going on, because not only do those people really keep up better than I do, but they're constantly interviewing people whose job might be to keep up with it. And so you just really, and you get different opinions and slants on things from people really in the know, involved in the gun rights movements, or could be product development or just anything. I encourage you to keep yourself educated in those areas as best you can. But anyway, I digress. What else is going on here? Hopefully you've seen the Glock. Well, you haven't seen that probably. We got a Glock 34 in. And let me think, things have been so crazy lately. Let's see. No, you haven't probably seen the Glock 34 video. I don't know. We'll put that up before too long. But we got a Glock 34 in. And we also, of course, still had the Glock, or the M&P Pro Series. And so we did a little comparison in addition to some video with work with the Glock 34. And people have been requesting Glock 34 for a good while. I just have never had one. Did a Glock 35 video or two, and I like those big Glocks. Okay, if it weren't for the darn grip and the hump on them, I'd like them a lot better. But they're good shooters. They really are. You might have seen the Glock 35 video. That's the same gun in 40 caliber. The Glock 34 is 9mm. And these are the tactical practical Glocks. If you're not familiar with them, they're the not necessarily the very biggest Glocks. There's a couple of competition models out there. I don't know if they still make that. I think they do still make the 17L. And what was another one? What was it? I don't think they still make the 24 or something. It was a big 9mm. I don't know. I wasn't as familiar with that one. It was kind of like the 17L. But the 34, it's on a Glock 17 frame, but it's the slide and barrel are about an inch longer. Okay, and it's popular gun in competition, and some people carry those guns. I mean, they look big. You put them alongside a Glock 19, and you think, wow, big gun, but they're actually the same size as a 1911. So, and that was part of the intention So if you can carry a gun the size of a 1911, you could carry a Glock 35 or a Glock 34. So I had some fun with those. I'm not sure what I could do as a temporary fix on guns like that. It's one reason I don't have a Glock 17 anymore. Started with a Glock 17. That's what, hooked me into Glocks, but part of it was ignorance is bliss. I didn't realize how much better a Glock 23 or 19 would feel in my hand at the time. But I just do not like the hump at all. Boy, did this remind me. Even with all the interchangeable back straps, there's just none of them that fixes that for me. Maybe somebody makes one. Somebody should. I mean, where are they? The first thing people do with a 1911, a lot of people do, and especially anybody that's going to compete with them, is to get rid of the raised mainspring housing if it has one on it, and put a flat mainspring housing on the back of the grip. I mean, all the way back into the 80s and 90s when I was competing a lot with the 1911, that was the first thing you did. If you're going to buy one back then, late 80s, generally you'd buy just a stock gun, 1911, and it would come with a raised mainspring housing. And that was one of the things you would replace, and you'd put better sights on it and some other things. But that mainspring housing went because that hump just didn't feel as good. And I don't know of anybody that left those on hardly. Well, to me, that's what a Glock 17 feels like. It feels like a 1911 with the raised mainspring housing on it. Now most 1911s, unless they are a GI model, a gun that's meant to duplicate, what was issued to the GIs for so many years, unless it's one of those, generally I believe they come with a flat mainspring housing. Again, that's for those that don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the back of the grip is flat. If you look at a GI gun, World War II gun, any of those, except unless you go all the way back, the originals, ironically, the actual 1911s, and I've had 2 or 3 of those over the years, that were, the original design, 1911 up through, I think it was maybe 1924, long in there before they changed it, they did have a flat mainspring housing. They had a long trigger. And 2 of the things that I change out and want in a 1911 for sure. But then after that, they improved the gun by putting that raised mainspring housing on it and a shorter trigger. And of course, some GIs had shorter hands and fingers, and so they needed that. I understand that. And they added a little bit longer beaver tail at the same time. That now was a good idea because I get hammer bite with the old ones, So, but anyway, I digress. I wish there was, as I say, someone would make a replacement backstrap for the Glock 17, Glock 34, any of the big Glocks, that you just pop it on there like you do those, and it would be flat. I mean, I could almost make one of those. Give me a piece of plastic in my Dremel tool, and you give me enough material on it, I could make one that would be so. If nobody does it, I certainly don't know why they don't do it. There's some money to be made right there. So if you're in that business, if you're one of these guys, I get email every day almost from somebody who wants to send me a Kydex holster. Hey, redirect your energies and into making some aftermarket backstraps for the big Glocks, or maybe any of them, any Gen 4. I wouldn't mind having one, even for a Glock 19. You still got a little bit of hump there. It's just that the gun it tucks into my hand, my large hand, where it just feels a whole lot better. But oh yeah, make it for the 19 and 23 as well. Just a straight backstrap, and whether it has a beaver tail or not, I'd make it both ways. Just like Glock now, I think they're shipping their Gen 4s with the regular backstrap replacements and also the backstrap replacements with the beaver tail, which is pretty cool. So anyway, my little rant on that. But we've done a couple of videos there. I think you'll get something out of maybe at least enjoy watching them, some comparison and that sort of thing. Again, it's the way I do comparison. I don't tell you how much the safety lever weighs on the firearm, but hopefully give you a little bit of information, and at least my impression in terms of how the various guns shoot, and then shoot them and let you see how they seem to work. But I always have that handicap, though, with those big Glocks. If I were going to compete tomorrow, I'd probably take the M&P, but if I could get the grip right on the Glock 34, that might be my choice. I don't know. It's hard to know, because it's at a disadvantage with that big old hump jabbing me and forcing me to aim it, point it the way I don't want to. Okay, I'll shut up about that. What else was I going to talk about? Was I going to talk about the price of bread? No, that's off topic even more than I would get off topic, right? I heard about some of the craziness at Newtown. Connecticut was released. Some more information was released this week, and I didn't catch it all. I think I did catch some of the stuff that they said they found in this idiot's crazy. I mean, he wasn't an idiot, I guess. He was just a crazy guy in his room or in his possession. Bayonets and ammo, all this stuff that the news media makes it sound like, oh man, especially in their little best evening news voice, dramatic voice, trying to make it sound like it is dramatic for someone to have a bayonet, a military bayonet. Oh, I cannot imagine. I probably can't even turn my head 90 degrees here without spotting one. Yep, there's an old Mauser bayonet. I don't keep anything out in the barn of a lot, much value, but I have junk or something like that. And I could go to the safe and grab you a Garand bayonet, or M1 carbine bayonet. What else? A K31, Swiss K31 bayonet. I've got lots of bayonets. I guess I'm just a terrorist, probably, right? Now, I think they said he had 1,700 rounds of ammo, and I don't get into all the other craziness of his mother letting him have access to firearms and a gun safe and ammo and all of that. I mean, that's beyond the pale. Apparently, at the same time she was trying to get him committed, maybe they needed to find a double room, somewhere that was padded. I don't know. It sounded like to me. I hate to talk about the poor lady that's dead, but wow. But anyway, I think the number was 1,700 rounds. Wow. Whew. If you're shooting a lot, going to the range, and not that I want to compare someone like him with all of us, but if you are shooting regularly, 1,700 rounds, what's that? A couple of weeks worth? For me, that's a couple hours worth. I remember Tom Gresham making a comment about that. There was I don't know, police giving somebody a hard time, arresting them or charging them for having a Russian gun in the trunk, and what was it, 340 rounds of ammo or 640, whatever comes in those Mosin, the 7.62 by 54R sardine cans. I've got one around here somewhere. It's like 740, whatever the number was. It was the same number, so I know that's probably what he had in his trunk, with the Russian rifle, which was probably a Mosin. But they made that sound like he was a terrorist. Like, who would have that many rounds of ammunition? I don't know. I don't know what we need to do, how we can combat this. You don't want to broadcast to the world what you have. I don't, you don't. Well, I guess I do, sort of, don't I? Yeah, I guess I'd better, or the show wouldn't go on. But man. The world just doesn't understand this business of ammo, and how 800 rounds of ammo or 200 rounds of ammo or 1,000 rounds of ammo is just no ammo, and that's not a lot of ammunition. But it sounds dramatic. It sounds dramatic. Now, of course, anything associated with this guy, this crazy guy in Newtown, in a way is dramatic. It is dramatic that he was given access to all of that stuff. So, so maybe I'm getting a little bit off the topic, but it doesn't matter what's going on. It just drives me crazy when the news media and sometimes the police seem to be almost in cahoots with them, making it sound so horrible that someone would have all this ammo or have these guns. And I may have talked about that before. You get some old redneck boys out in the woods somewhere in Tennessee or Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, or anywhere. It could be upstate New York, and they get arrested because they've got more pot than they're allowed to have, or any pot, depending on the state, or they're growing some or whatever. I don't even know what all the laws are on that anymore, but I know in some areas, unless it exceeds a certain amount, it's not even criminal or not, but they'll find somebody with a criminal amount of marijuana or something. They may even be good old hardworking boys, and so they're busted, because they've got enough to where it could be characterized as they're dealing or selling some of it or something. And they come as they search the place, they come dragging out 3 single barrel shotguns worth about $80 a piece. They'll bring out a couple of handguns and lay all that out on the front yard in a blanket, and 800 rounds of ammo. And in the news media, they just go right down the list of everything that was found in the house. Wow. An arsenal was found in the house. How horrible. You could wrap all that stuff up in a blanket, and it's not even equivalent to what I put on the shooting table for one video. I mean, it's just drives you crazy. But that's the state of the world. And again, I'm kind of mixing subjects there. I probably shouldn't even talk about the Newtown thing in connection with that, because what that guy, whatever he had, was kind of crazy, because he was crazy. But it still bugs me when I see that. Oh, I had a note too here about I'm getting a lot of questions lately, or comments about other YouTubers for various reasons, and some might make the news and just whatever's going on. But as you know, and as I've said many times, I do not tolerate negative comments about other YouTubers. It's not that they're necessarily my brethren; they just happen to be doing something on YouTube, also on this venue. I may not even know them, and probably don't, but a lot of people feel compelled to ask me about it. Did you hear about so-and-so, or this, or when you going to do a video with this guy, or that, just whatever's going on. Hey, we're kind of doing our thing here. And while I do know a couple of YouTubers pretty well, I really don't know that many YouTubers that well. And I do not, and I basically, as I've said many, many times, I delete comments usually about other YouTubers, because if it's not a negative comment initially, whoever has been blocked from that person's channel seizes the moment, and they see that, they're reminded, and oh wow, yeah, well, there's that guy that blocked me, and he's not a great YouTuber, he's not a great guy, and then they just launch into it and seize that opportunity, with our audience to try to drag that person through the mud. So anyway, I don't get any of that. I just delete that. Whatever the other guys are doing, that's their business, and I do watch some of the other YouTubers, and I enjoy some of them, and it's sad that over the years I have come close to mentioning certain YouTubers at various times, or even a video that I saw someone do and thought it was interesting or good, and I always catch myself, because I know what would happen. Same old thing. But anyway, basically I don't even comment on that. So when people send me those things, that they usually just get deleted, and whatever's going on is going on. Y'all know as much as I do about anybody else and anything else that's going on. We pretty much mind our own business, and if I don't have something positive to say about another YouTuber, I don't say it. That's pretty much the way it is. I don't think anybody's ever heard me say anything negative about anybody else doing or going something like what we're doing, so anyway, enough on that. Oh, I had a note here to talk a little bit about the 357 SIG. I have dabbled with that round, and even purchased the Model 32 from Glock that we got in as a T&E gun. I figured, maybe I need a 357 SIG, and then also it serves as an additional Glock 23, right? Same gun, just takes a barrel interchange to convert it. So But yeah, and I even have carried that some. But I had a round not fire one day. It was I guess a bad primer, and then it was with some ammo. I'm not gonna bash the ammo because I haven't experimented enough with it. But the mainstream ammo, it seems to do okay. I haven't had that happen. But I had a round, and it was a different brand. It was not, Winchester, Federal, or anything like that. Well, in fact, what is it? I think I've got the box over here. What is this? This stuff. I went out and shot some this morning. Fiocchi, 124 grain. And I fired that before, used it in videos, did okay. But I also had a barrel for my Glock 27 since, I had the Glock 32. I ordered a barrel for my Glock 27 so I could carry that in the same caliber if I wanted to ever. And so I was experimenting with it too a little bit and hadn't shot it much. And this morning I thought, if I'm going to ever carry that in that caliber, I want to have a good feel for point of impact and everything, just shoot it some. And so I did. I shot a magazine. I guess it was yesterday, actually. Did I say that? I don't know. I've lost track of days. But I shot just a magazine and had a hang-up. And I don't know if it's maybe less or more likely in the baby Glock. It should be the same as a Glock, 33 or 31? 33, I think, is the baby Glock in 357 SIG. But I don't know if it's the speed of the slide. Maybe it needs a different spring in the baby Glock if you're going to convert one. I don't know. It should be all the same, I would think, as the factory-delivered Glock 33, if I'm right on the model number there. Baby Glock in 357 SIG. But yeah, just a couple little issues like that, and I don't think I've ever had issues with 40 caliber. So some verdict's still out for me on a 357 SIG. It's a great round, and the ballistics are phenomenal. It's loud, a lot of blast, but I don't know. I'm going to experiment. I've got all the equipment. I've got the Glock 32 and barrel for my 27. I'll continue experimenting because I do have quite a bit of ammo here and there. That was one ammo that was available, so I have ordered quite a lot of that or picked it up in shops. So I'll continue experimenting and let you know how that's going over the months or years. But I'm probably just back to my 40 right now, or 9, when it comes to my old reliable Glock 19, Glock 23, Glock 26, Glock 27, Fab 4, I think I called them in an early video. So anyway, I thought I'd mention that. I don't know if any of you all have experimented or had, any issues with 357 SIG. It's supposed to be more reliable because of the contour and shape of the cartridge. And I will say, I've not had any issues with the gold dot I have fired, Winchester, any of the mainline ammo companies. Just haven't fired very much in the 27 size, Glock with that caliber. So I don't know. I've become spoiled over the years. And that's one of the things that led me to the Glock back in the 80s, because most of you didn't live through the 70s as a shooter. In the 80s I did, and the general feeling was if you wanted reliability, serious reliability, stick with a revolver, because a lot of people were carrying revolvers. If you wanted to risk it, an effective handgun, like a 1911 or some other semi-autos that were around, you might try those too. They're very effective. You practice with them, but be sure you're ready to handle the malfunctions. So it was kind of a reliability versus more rounds, and maybe all the advantages you get with a semi-automatic pistol. And so then in the 80s, when I encountered the Glock, I thought, wow, this changes the parameters here. It changes the choices. If you want utter reliability, then looks like this has it. And so I'm not willing to give that up. But then again, I'm not ready to indict, charge the 357 SIG cartridge, because it's supposed to be even more reliable in terms of feeding. But it could be that possibly there's something about the recoil spring setup. Maybe it's more sensitive if you've got an older recoil spring. I don't know. That's a Gen 4 Glock 27, so that spring, I haven't had it all that long, haven't shot it thousands of rounds or anything. I would think it's okay. I was using a Glock 27 magazine, and I will say, come to think of it, several weeks back, I converted, it was either the 27 or I don't know, I think it was the 27. I pulled a magazine out here. It wasn't an old 20-year-old magazine or anything. It was a 40 caliber magazine for the Glock 27, and I put 357 SIG in it, and the first round wooden chambered hit on the ramp. I thought, whoa, that's an experience I have not seen. That didn't compute with a with a Glock. And that got my attention, and I put that magazine aside somewhere. It was an older magazine, but I've never had any trouble with any age magazine with a 40 caliber round. So I don't know. It's just something to keep in mind. I've just got that filed away back there in the recesses of my mind, and I'll experiment further as we move on through this world of shooting. But I thought I'd pass that along to you, just the experience I'd had. If you're thinking about converting to that caliber, or having a barrel so that you can convert your SIG, Glock, or whatever it is, it's just something to keep an eye on. Make sure you shoot whatever ammo you're carrying. Shoot it quite a bit. Make sure everything's working, your magazine's working, your recoil spring handles it well, and just the whole 9 yards. So I'm not sure what all's going on, but they're just issues I've not had with the 40 caliber cartridge. Hey, I guess I better let y'all go. I've yacked enough here. And again, we sure appreciate all the support. The subscribers, the milestone we passed. Again, it's just another reminder that there's more people watching than we deserve, and we appreciate every one of you. And one of the cool things about the 4 rallies we've attended in the last 2 or 3 months is that we've really met a lot of you, and that's been pretty cool. It just really has. We've been able to put faces with usernames in a lot of cases. Not that I'll remember any of it, but but it's pretty cool. I mean, I've met lots of people that have been watching the channel for years, and have been able to chat with you all, and that's been pretty cool. So appreciate you all, and hope you keep watching and listening. We'll keep making videos, and I'll probably continue coming out here into the reloading room. I hear Fort Campbell coming by. Can you hear him? Probably Fort Campbell. We get, I'm kind of in northern middle Tennessee, in an area. I'm pretty far from Fort Campbell, Kentucky. It's in Kentucky and Tennessee. It's on the border. But we get some military traffic through the air here occasionally, and it's always cool to see transport planes or Chinook helicopters and that sort of thing occasionally traveling between Fort Campbell and Nashville, I guess, in most cases. I don't know. So I keep waiting for them one day to launch a few rounds from up there at the gong, or try to knock over a turkey, but they've not done that yet. But anyway, thanks again for listening and watching. We'll be seeing you through the screen as we do our videos, and be sure you're dressed well and you're well behaved. You don't want me to see you misbehaving. So thanks again. Life is good. You've been listening to the Hickok 45 radio show. See you on the range.